There is finally going to be an open world Star Wars game.
Welcome to the first ever open world Star Wars game.
I use air quotes because the developer specifically pointed out that it's going to kind of hold your hand towards some big action set pieces, kind of like a linear story driven game like Uncharted. Complete polar opposite of what an open world game is. However, there's 5 planets to explore. By no means is all of them in the Star Wars universe, but each one seems to be incredibly detailed with a shitload of quests and things to experience. And if you felt like previous open world sci-fi games like Mass Effect and Starfield were lackluster in the exploration department and you don't feel like waiting until your deathbed for Star Citizen to arrive, this might actually be right up your alleyway, even if you're not a fan of Star Wars at all, or what Disney's done with it post George Lucas or whatever the shit. The game itself, just as a sci-fi open world game, looked incredibly promising from the trailer, which was pretty lengthy, showed a lot of gameplay as well as some cinematics with in-game assets. And there were a few things that stood out to me negatively that I wanted to point out, but keep in mind this is early footage and it did have a little placard or watermark on the bottom saying this is not indicative of the final product. By the way, don't worry about what's happening over shoulder, a little 4-way comparison of the PDP Victrix Pro controllers that's coming out in a couple of days. So real quick, I want to start out by saying some creators that have gotten their nitty-gritty mitts on this game early, for example, Luke Stevens over here, I skipped around a little bit, but I got the gist of his video. He has played it early and was extremely satisfied, as were a lot of other creators, and I understand why. Just watching the actual official, holy shit, that was so loud. It does look supremely promising, and if you've ever wanted in your heart of hearts, your little gamer soul, to have an open world Star Wars game, as I think a lot of us, myself included, have craved, here it's coming, finally. So as far as content out there around this game, you do have this Ubisoft trailer, which is a bunch of jump cuts every 3 seconds as it is to drum a pipe. It's a cinematics trailer. I do believe that this gameplay showcase is more beneficial with almost 1 million views from a month ago. Interestingly enough, this is from the Star Wars YouTube channel. A little verified check mark there. So first of all, can I start off by saying that the flight looks a lot more fluid and smooth than something like Starfield, which has multiple cutscenes, actually usually 3, to jump from system to system. That just fluidly took off out of the hangar bay, thrusters ahoy, and now you are in direct control of your ship. Also, the movement does seem a lot more fluid and snappy than something like Starfield, which is a game that I'm currently playing again, this time with mods. And something like that. You've got some high-speed maneuvers, barrel rolls, which you'll see in just a moment, evasive maneuvers, dogfighting. Little barrel roll. The only critique I had here was that the sound effects for the laser blasters or the ship's weapons sounded a little bit lackluster, and I thought they should have a thunderous boom, especially because you're in the vast void of space and whatnot, but who the fuck do I know? You do have affinity levels for each faction, so the Pike Syndicate got a little bit of a better standing for achieving this quest for them. And now we're about to jump to Tatooine, so again, a fast travel system, but is it going to take us to a black cutscene where we're sitting for about 5 seconds? I don't know. We're about to find out right now. So right now the game is loading in its next planet. This is working as a little load screen behind something to stimulate your gamer corneas. Boom, but then now you're out of it. And I think that, even though there's a load screen there, is masked behind something that looks cool as you're going light speed, warp speed if you will, rather than just staring at a blank load screen. Actually 3 of them. And then check this out. Flying directly towards the surface of a planet, you're gonna bust through the crust of the atmosphere, you know, huffing up all that ozone, and then you're gonna fucking land. It is possible, for sure, Bethesda, Todd. It is possible, for show. I'm definitely not bashing Starfield in this video. There's enough of that floating around the internet. So this is Mos Eisley, and as you can see, the scope and scale of this city is pretty goddamn big, and it's unclear as if you can go into every single interior, if they're fully decorated interiors, but it does seem like, since you're speaking with these NPCs, retrieving quests, that a lot of these interiors are fully decorated. Oh my god, that looks so sick. As a Star Wars fan, this looks right up my alleyway. So Imperial Stormtroopers are the equivalent of law enforcement in this game. So just like GTA, where you have a wanted system, it works exactly like that. Let me jump to where all that's going down. And at the lower levels, it seems like you're going to have a couple of foot troops coming after you, depending on what planet you're on. That might be sand troopers, scout troopers, snow troopers. You know, there's literally dozens of different types of troopers. We all know that. But when you get to the higher levels, they start sending out the big dogs to come mop your ass up. We're talking about things like shock troopers, and Dark Troopers. One of the aspects of the gameplay that was most appealing to me was the speeder bike, as it looked something like what we get with Destiny 2, but a lot more fluid and smooth, probably because it's actually on the ground. It's hovering, but it's technically closer to the ground, less vehicle weight, and it seems more snappy and nimble. At least that's what it seems like. And we got a lot of gameplay footage of the speeder bike, which it seems like you can summon out of your tuchus at any possible time. Sick little dismount animation there. Not very functional to go over the handlebars like that, but it looked cool. Now this is going to be a stealth mission, but it doesn't look like force stealth, which is sick. You have many ways to approach a mission, and this is an Ubisoft game, so maybe some Far Cry bones in there, for better or worse. I personally have always liked the Far Cry series, but I definitely will admit, as everyone can see clear as day, that they have been recycling the same gameplay loop or formula for about 10 years now, maybe longer, since Far Cry 3, but with the change of setting and a new villain, usually voice acted by a real beast.
We'll use whatever he says.
What, is this not fun anymore? Huh? Have I failed to entertain you?
You see, the thing is, up there you think you have a chance, but hermano, down here,
They will answer you with screams.
So I'm seeing a lot of skepticism, or people that are enthused about the game but are approaching it very cautiously to not get their hopes up and be let down because it is an Ubisoft title, and they're pretty much known synonymously for not reinventing the wheel, and their wheel has just collected a lot of mud over time. We're talking about that Far Cry wheel, which was shifted a little bit with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, a game that I really enjoyed, but at its core you could tell that it's Far Cry with blue people, so to speak. Little stealth takedown there. She bops this dude in the belly with a little stun gun, and he just kind of, the way he reacts to it's kind of weird. The ragdoll effect, or not ragdoll effect, the hit animation was a little bit weird. The lock picking over here looks a lot better than something like, I hate to bring up Starfield again, but I'm playing the son of a gun right now. Digi-picking, which I fucking hate, that looked a lot more fluid and smooth. Something like the lock picking in Skyrim or Fallout, which no complaints. But then we get into one of the core aspects that I was a little bit let down by with this trailer, and that is going to be the gunplay, as you are, it does appear to be locked to third person. You cannot switch between first and third, and the aim sensitivity here is so low. I don't know if that there's no option to bump it up or what, but the way they're panning their cursor across the screen is painfully slow. Speaking of painful, that thing got your forearm. And I think it just lacks a level of excitement. It's not that the TTK or time to kills through the roof, but it seems like there's no sense of urgency that you're taking damage or need to really be in cover. I'm sure you can bump up the difficulty, but that's one of the gripes I had. And also, you're going to see the silly little ragdoll effect here, looking like Grand Theft Auto 4 on the PlayStation 3. Summoning your bike, that's kind of cool. But the gunplay, I'm really hoping, again, they have that splash watermark at the bottom saying this is not indicative of the final product. I'm hoping the shooting looks a little bit more crisp when we get down to business, and it's hotter than the dual suns of Tatooine that were just on screen. Graphically, very impressive with this low light scene. You'd expect nothing less from a AAA title in 2024. And then there is the equivalent of a VATS mode. You can see going into this kind of dead-eye slow motion mode where you pick out your targets and then send them to the Shadow Realm or to the coldest depths of Hoth. Again, the speeder bike looks so sick. Stealth mechanics. That was a Dark Trooper too. And when can you actually play it? That's kind of important. August 30th. Is it free to play, or how many Moolah McDuckets does it cost? Popping up on screen. So to wrap everything together, my final sentiment or thought here is that this is going to be a very un-open world or on rails linear storyline style game for an open world. So very disconnected from the usual massive open world. The developer even explained they're going to have a very handholdy-ish tutorial in a smaller sandbox, which isn't out of the ordinary because even massive open world games like Elden Ring or Zelda Weepage of the Kingdom does start you out on a smaller little biome or planet. It gives you the rundown, the nitty gritty of the controls and the mechanics of the game. Personally, I'm very excited for this game, and I'm going to be following it, watching it like an eagle on a perch, so to speak, and I'll be feeding you, spoon feeding you any updates as they trickle down. Drop in the comment section below what you think of Outlaws. Are you juiced for it, or do you think it's a big old stinker? Is it going to be Far Cry with a little Star Wars twist or flavor? I don't think so. Only time shall tell. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers, so this information will reach and assist them as well. Much like the back of the TV, I've got plugs for all of my socials down there in the description below. And your wallet will greatly thank you if you check the description, because there are exclusive discounts on a ton of products, including controllers, KontrolFreeks, keyboards, mouse pads, clothes, and energy drinks. And keep in mind that you, the viewer, keep this channel running. The more stallions and stallionettes trotting around the stable, the better. So mollywop that subscribe button like it owes you money, and we'll have the same amount of fun tomorrow.